CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
A tragic scene in San Francisco after a car plows through a bus stop and into a young family that was waiting there.
There wasn't any trying to brake or swerve out of the way.
We ran over to see, and there were bodies everywhere.
A series of problems lately on passenger planes is prompting questions about the safety of air travel overall. We'll have a live interview with an aviation expert about the significance of those recent events. And a Bay Area congressional primary is still too close to call nearly 2 weeks after people cast their ballots. We'll have the latest on the race to get into the general election in the fall. Good morning. Today is Sunday, March 17th. I'm Max Darrow. This morning, a San Francisco community is trying to make sense of a tragedy. The family of 4 was waiting for the bus at a Muni stop in the West Portal neighborhood on Saturday afternoon when the driver of a white SUV smashed into the bus stop. The father and a toddler died at the scene. The mother and an infant, as well as the driver, went to the hospital. Police, firefighters, even Mayor London Breed rushed to the scene, telling our crew there that accidents like this one are especially difficult to respond to, even for experienced first responders.
You can imagine, children are involved here and how traumatic that is for a lot of people who especially were probably here and may have witnessed this situation occur.
Now, police are investigating what may have caused the driver to careen into this bus stop without any signs of braking. Our Da Lin spoke to witnesses and has this report.
Police cleared the scene around 7 p.m. The crash happened right here. Investigators say the victims were waiting for a bus at the bus shelter. This is what's left of it: twisted metal and shattered glass. A horrific crash, killing a man and a toddler.
Just wild.
Witnesses say they were father and son, but investigators have not confirmed the relationship.
We ran over to see, and there were bodies everywhere.
Authorities say shortly after 12 p.m. on Saturday on Ulloa Street near West Portal Avenue, this white Mercedes SUV plowed into the bus shelter and hit 4 people. The impact sent bodies flying. Witnesses found the toddler about 20 to 30 feet away. The man landed about 40 feet away from the shelter.
He was laying there, his arm was kind of twisted backwards and his face was split open. There was a pool of blood around his head. It was pretty surreal.
Paramedics rushed a woman and a baby to the hospital. This is what's left of the baby stroller.
I just saw a woman laying there, and they were trying to resuscitate her, and then someone said that there was also a baby, and then I saw the officer carrying a 2-month-old, at least 2 months. It looked like it was barely breathing, and it had blood coming out of its head.
They also took the female driver to the hospital. Police are investigating and not ready to release a motive. They would not confirm what witnesses are saying, which is the elderly driver had a heart attack or cardiac arrest.
They had to have their foot on the gas, like flooring it or something.
Witness Marlene Gallo says no braking and there are no skid marks on the road. She was cleaning in her living room.
I could hear something coming, and I looked out the window and I saw this white car going really fast, and it was on the wrong side of the road, and it was kind of moving closer and closer to the curb. And it must have been, I don't know how fast it was going, but to me it felt like 50 miles an hour or something like that. It was way faster than it was supposed to be going. And I saw the car smack into the pole at the bus stop down at the end of the corner.
Witnesses estimate the SUV was going 50 to 70 miles per hour. Marlene says her heart sank because there were a lot of people on the street celebrating St. Patrick's Day.
I was just standing here and I just couldn't believe what I'd seen outside my own house.
Authorities say there were a lot of witnesses because the bus stop is located near the West Portal Muni station. A bus driver also saw the crash. In fact, drivers honked repeatedly to alert pedestrians about the fast-moving SUV.
Before the crash, I heard honking.
Instead of celebrating a joyous holiday, Marlene and others are now praying for the victims and their families.
I'm a therapist, a mental health therapist, so I like to deal with other people's traumas all the time, and here I am having my own trauma right in my own room.
Witnesses believe the victims at the bus stop were all related, mom, dad, and 2 kids. But San Francisco police say they simply don't have that information at this time, and it's too early to say what's going to happen to that driver, whether she'll face any charges. Of the 3 victims taken to the hospital, 2 were in critical condition. 1 in stable condition.
Now to Oakland this morning, where some would-be robbers attempted to break into a bank using their car as a battering ram. It happened downtown at City National Bank on Broadway. Police say 4 to 5 suspects were in an Infiniti sedan when it smashed into the bank's large glass windows but couldn't break all the way in. Suspects ran away before Oakland police could arrive. That investigation is ongoing. Benicia police say 2 men are in jail after a freeway gun battle with police late Friday night. The men were suspected of armed robbery. Police say when an officer tried to stop their car in the area of Columbus and Rose, the suspects opened fire. They then took off and eventually crashed on a 780 off-ramp. One suspect continued to trade gunshots with police and was eventually found hiding in the bushes. Benicia police were joined by officers from more than a dozen jurisdictions, including the Solano County SWAT team.
Well, you no doubt have noticed we're in the middle of a pretty spectacular weekend. It was in the low 70s on Saturday, and Sunday is going to be no different. I'm going to show you those numbers in 1 second. But first, for the morning, we're starting to see the return of an old familiar pattern. It's not too intense this morning, but there is a little bit of low stratus cloud filling the bay for parts of the morning. It's not going to last long. It's going to be gone by late morning. And when it does so, you're going to have nothing but blue sky once again today for Sunday, and daytime highs that climb into the low 70s. If you like this, you're going to love the next 4 days. In fact, it's going to get a little warmer tomorrow. And then there's rain coming back. We're going to look at that. It's getting here at the end of the week. See you with that in just a bit.
Heads up drivers in the East Bay, a major freeway closure continues today. Caltrans is doing a repaving project on Interstate 680 in Pleasanton that had to be pushed back twice because of rain earlier this year. Check this map out. This is the stretch of southbound 680. It's closed from 580 connector to Koopman Road. Various on and off ramps are also shut down. That means the southern flow of traffic will be shut off across Pleasanton down to Sunol. Caltrans says the current shutdown will accomplish what would otherwise have taken 40 nighttime closures. The freeway is expected to reopen by 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. There are still some races up in the air from this month's elections. In the South Bay, we still don't know who will face former San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo in a runoff to replace Congresswoman Anna Eshoo. Kelsey Thorud is tracking the race and has the latest on where things stand.
Focused on November and make sure the runoff campaign is looking good.
On election night, Santa Clara County Supervisor Joe Simidian seemed confident he would win enough votes in California's District 16 congressional race to get on the November ballot. But since that night, the race for second just keeps getting tighter. Now, over a week later, with still no firm answer on who will join former San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo in the general election, Simidian told me he remains confident in his campaign.
We know that there are votes to be counted in both counties, San Mateo and Santa Clara County.
Simidian held second place in the vote totals for over a week after primary night. But on Wednesday, State Representative Evan Lowe overtook him for the first time.
Now it's neck and neck, a virtual tie, and we'll know a whole lot more in the next few days.
We reached out to Evan Lowe's campaign for an interview. They told us they couldn't fit one in with his schedule, but sent us this statement saying in part, quote, "While there are still votes left to be counted, I am encouraged by the latest results that have put our campaign in the lead. I am grateful to all of my supporters and look forward to all votes being counted in this race." Melinda Jackson is a professor of political science at San Jose State University. She says the way this race has played out may be an indication of the type of supporters each candidate has.
You know, we can speculate that the people who are really on top of this and paying a lot of attention and voting early, getting their ballots in ahead of time, you know, might be older voters with a little more time on their hands, or maybe people who are more familiar with someone like Joe Simidian, who's been in politics for a number of decades. Whereas those last minute voters might tend to be younger, maybe looking for a younger candidate like Evan Lowe, who does represent, you know, a new generation.
No matter the end result, both Lowe and Simidian have emphasized this race is a perfect example of why voting matters so much.
The fact that this race could come down to a relative handful of votes is a reminder that every vote counts and every vote has to be counted.